Hello, everyone. John here. Welcome back to the review realm. We got another album review for you today. This one is very different for us. We're going to dive into it in just a sec. If you're checking out the channel for the first time, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the show. Really helps us, really helps support us and keeps reviews going like this going. Sam, as always, is joining me. Hello, Sam.
Hey, John, looking forward to this one. This one's a definitely unique release from what we're used to doing.
Yeah, so like I said, this is different for us because Sam and I are metal guys. I'm sure those that are diving into this review, if you don't know that, that's what we're really big on. But for me, the reason I wanted to dive into this is because I know this artist personally. I've known her for 20 years or so. There's going to be an interview with her, an actual sit down interview that I conducted with her. If you're watching this at a later time, that interview probably dropped already, and the link will be in the description of this video. She sat down with me for about an hour, really in depth, very personal. We went track by track for the album that we're going to review. I should probably get to the point of the video. Her album that she put out this past October of 2025, Lost Connections, her first album. Nel Fuoco, of course, I'm talking about. So, yeah, so like I said, Sam, so I met her around 2006. Jesus, I was 15 years old and I aged both of us drastically when I mentioned that. Yeah, so this is different for us, but I was interested since it's somebody I know, uh, making the music. So, Sam, right off the bat, what were your initial thoughts?
Um, my initial thoughts here, because I do have some people say I have a eclectic taste, even though I'm a big metalhead and prog snob, if you will. Um, Off the bat, beautiful voice, beautiful voice.
Yes.
If you're not into even this kind of music, it's worth checking out. Um, I'm not familiar with anything else, obviously, from her, but I thought the writing was pretty strong, especially for what would we consider this, hip hop, R&B.
Yeah, absolutely. R&B, hip hop,
Okay,
definitely for sure.
so yeah, I listened to it a couple of times, and like I say all the time, sometimes it's hard to listen to an album start to finish if you're not enjoying it. I did a few times, and I was like, I could keep this on my rotation outside of my metal collection.
I mentioned to her when I was talking to her, she has always been very talented with this. And when I came across this, I mentioned to her that I was surprised by the musical direction of this. I wasn't surprised that she did it because she's talented and I thought she's very capable of this. She has a really impressive background. She sang opera at one point when she was younger. You know, she's a dancer, all sorts of things. She speaks Italian fluently. Just really impressive here. So I wanted to listen to this album and then just see what she's been doing. So we might as well dive right into it here. Did you have a personal favorite on the album, Sam?
Um, Personal favorite, I did like Paris. Um, Detox was good, and Ignore Me. Those are the ones that to me had stuck out.
Ignore Me was my personal favorite of the album. We went track by track in when I interviewed her, and she gave me I figured, listening to each of these songs that they were deeply personal, and they were. I felt like there was a darkness to this album. There was a melancholy here. I felt, and she goes in depth with each of these in her interview. Please check that out. She will do it better justice than I can here. um, but I also asked her too about the voice notes. I asked, "Are those actual voice notes from people?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah, they were very real voice notes that she received. Two very different voice notes."
Yeah, no, I thought that was a cool ad. I know a lot of hip hop artists they'll do that. The most famous one that comes to mind for me at least is always Going Back to Cali by Notorious Big. The excerpt from the voicemail.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought it was a little cool addition. It definitely helped the album the flow of the album. And I'm usually judgmental about those little clips like that on an album.
Yeah, and like you said too, I think her voice, her singing is very impressive. She draws big inspiration from pretty much Mariah Carey is pretty much her idol.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I love like Love Me Online. I like that when she's singing, it gets higher as the song progresses. And that's song number one, and I thought that was impressive. She's very direct with the lyrics, and I
Mhm.
think that's something that maybe since we don't listen to a lot of it, Sam,
Yeah.
I think what when we listen to metal and rock, I think it's very, uh, it's
More interpreted.
maybe subject yeah, it can be complicated and maybe
Mhm.
subjective about what bands are alluding to, and it's up to your own interpretation
Yeah.
a lot, where I think the direction of hip hop is that the lyrics and usually the themes are pretty direct.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I was listening to the whole album again, trying to be subjective from our normal, you know, listens, and there was a lot of direct stuff in there. Yeah, and it was all written pretty good.
I also found it impressive too that there were a couple of songs where she had lyrics that were not in her first language, and I asked her if that was a challenge, and she said, "Yeah, of course it is." But I think with like Paris, she kept the line pretty simple. It was something about the Eiffel Tower, that much I know. She also spent a lot of time overseas too. She spent time in Italy and Morocco, which is what Desert Moon is about. She talks about that a lot. So yeah, I thought the album flowed. I told her that I liked the vibe of the album.
Yeah, no, it was. Now I think about it, like you just said, it does have a very dark theme feel to it. It wasn't like, not in a bad way. It's like not upbeat. It's not, this is not uplifting, but it's definitely it sets a tone. It sets a mood. You know, in that theme continues throughout this whole album, and I thought that really keeps the album strong, is keeping that theme consistent across the board.
Yeah, she talks about it too. She doesn't feel super pessimistic about love or anything like that, but, I think we all have all sorts of experiences with the way the world is these days, so I think she conveys it really well. She conveys, excuse me, the passion that she has for this, and also too, I told her the confidence to be able to create something like this. Way before I mentioned that I was wondering if she was going for, like, a nostalgic message there, and she absolutely was. That it reminded me of the time period that when I met her, like 2006 or so, or geez, I know she talks about her dad in this who had passed away like 7 years ago or so. Yeah, just a very nostalgic piece. We went really in depth with that one among the others. And Brand New D is the one where it kind of ends on a happy note, where it's optimistic. And she intended for that. She knew that she had an overall, dark album with this, so she wanted to end it on a happier note.
I have to go back and listen to that track again because I think that was the one I was just about to wrap up one more time before we were recording this. But
No subliminal messaging on that one.
yeah, I did get that when I listened to it the first time.
No, but, overall, I was very impressed with this. This was different for me, but again, because I know the person, it was something I was really interested by, and I enjoyed the vibe of it, and I urge people to go check it out, especially if you're local, support those local artists, she has a show coming up as we record this on the 31st in Lowell. Um, there'll be copies of this album there. I urge you, Sam, you're all in favor of this physical media supremacy.
Mhm. Yep. Go out, go to shows, buy albums. If I was there, I'd buy a copy from, her. So,
All right, yeah, that's pretty much our thoughts on the album, Nel Fuoco's album, Lost Connections. Please go check out the interview that we did for with her. It's one of one right now. Our first sit down interview with somebody. We're really excited to do that. She goes really in depth with each of her songs and her journey as a musician so far. Please go check that out. Please give the video a like and hit that subscribe button. Share your thoughts on Nel Foco and her material in the comments below. Sam, would you like to close us out?
Thank you so much for watching. And as always, do not forget to join the Bedlam.